To all the geeks and nerds out there, welcome back to episode 100 of Beyond Logic. We're here, we're finally here, and I'm joined by some friends. So I'm going to do a quick introduction so we can get on with the tour. So first of all, we have Wite Rabid, DaOscar, ZZaRReFF, and Rozsy and akoimeexx. These are all peeps from my community, various mods and admins and stuff like that, people that give me lots of support and stuff. And we have two very special VIP guests. So first of all, a man that needs no introduction, a man that has probably invented one of the best things in Minecraft ever, no exaggeration. That is Skizzleman with the... Yeah, exactly, Skizzleman.
He was talking about you, actually.
I'm talking about the Scumpus, the best invention ever.
All right, that was actually... I ruined it.
You did, you're a ruiner. And joining the mighty Skizzleman, we have this guy Impulse. But anyway, so...
Yeah, you get over there. I like it.
Yeah, so we're joined by ImpulseSV and Skizzleman. So guys, thanks very much for joining us on this tour. Very much appreciate you coming on, sparing your time to take a look around the world. And yeah, I'd be interested to see what you think.
Yeah, can't wait to see it, man.
Super excited, dude. We're gonna get some. There's a lot of stuff for us to steal here. Dibbled up.
Yeah, man.
Out there, dude.
Okay, so we're inside this building now. The kind of general theme for this world is there's lots of kind of sci-fi and TV references. So with that in mind, let's walk outside and for our VIPs, just have a look around and see if you think you recognise where you might be. And I'll give you a few minutes to think about that just before I kind of tell you. So maybe come over here to the centre of this grass area. And maybe have a look around. Kind of putting you on the spot.
Oh, don't tell me.
Why do I feel this is your specialty?
Well, I feel like it's Back to the Future.
Yeah, like you got it.
There it is.
You got it.
There's the clock. Oh, there it is.
Oh.
You got it. So there is the clock tower in front of us. That's where obviously the lightning strikes.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, if you have a quick look around at all of these buildings, they're all accurate to the film. So I don't know, we can start over here actually. So if you follow me over this way, we've got the road. This is where Doc and Marty ends up going back to the future. He travels down this road.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, so look at the fire and everything. I love it.
There's fire tracks. There's the DeLorean going towards the town cinema, which is down there. And
how do I get in? I want to drive it.
The DeLorean, dude.
So there's a DeLorean. So this is a Walls. There's a cinema. There's a Holt's Diner just there. Yeah. So this took a lot of research, looking at all of the obviously lots of footage of the film and stuff like that. But this is the 1955 version of Hill Valley.
It's super cool.
Hill Valley. That was what I was trying
Hill
to
Valley.
get to.
So we've got a few vehicles here. So we've got Biff's car over here as well. And the one vehicle that I'm most fond of is over this way. If you come over the other side of the grass, I'll show you this other vehicle. So if you know the film, you will recognise the reference to this one, I'm sure. So what do you reckon? This vehicle right here.
Yeah. Here's the manure vehicle.
Oh, there it is. Yep. Look at the signs.
I hate manure.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
yeah, so we've got all of that stuff here. And yeah, so obviously it's around here we've got the Texaco garage. And then over here we've got Roy's Records, which turns into the shop where they buy the sports almanac in the future. And next door to that we have the famous cafe as well.
Yeah.
So this is Hill Valley. Yeah. So this is Spawn. This is my spawn area. So.
Super cool. Awesome. This is so cool. I can actually... Remember in the first one, man, when he's like using his skateboard and grabbing onto the back of cars and all that stuff and it's dragging him to...
Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta tell you, I'm telling you, the second I walked out, I was feeling Hill Valley, but I'm like, I don't want to say it too soon. And then I turned around, there's that clock tower. I'm like, oh, dude, definitely. Oh, this is awesome. Right up my alley. I love it.
Yeah, awesome. So the other thing I should mention that I didn't mention before, in that this is a single player, totally survival world. So this is all done by me in survival. There's no cheats or anything like that. I've used a few kind of quality of life mods, but apart from that, it's all good. Now the other thing is, if you look directly upwards, what do you see?
Yeah, I caught a glimpse of this. Oh man, Iron Man up there.
Right, so maybe let's take a fly up to the Iron Man.
Oh man,
I'm on the struggle bus trying to get off the ground.
Yeah, man. Yeah, me too. So this is Iron Man, and it's hiding a secret. So above the Iron Man, if you come up on top. This unfortunately this no longer works. But this is an iron farm. This is this is one of the old-fashioned. I say old-fashioned. One of the old-fashioned stacking iron farms, stacking villages. So this was a 16-village iron farm, and yeah, I've got lots of iron out of this over the course. And
there we go. Woo!
Yeah, it's all there. So this Iron Man, I think it's about 180 blocks long.
Wow.
And yeah, you can imagine
so awesome
placing all that.
That is super cool. I love Tony Stark in here.
Yeah, we've got Tony Stark. Yeah.
With a monocle.
This is outstanding, dude. Up. Woo.
So we got that stuff. Yeah, so this is
brilliant using the beam of light there, dude.
Yeah, so I mean, if you hop on underneath, then you'll get a better view, obviously, of the Iron Man. And yeah, so the idea is the beacons. We used to have 2 beacons, but it was when I did the Hill Valley build, the second one got in the way. But he's coming through his hand as a laser beam of Tony Stark when he's.
Awesome. Oh.
And then we'll walk this way. So this way is going to take us to the area where I actually started the series. So we're going to go to my starter house and some star area. So this area needs a bit of love. It's a bit unfinished, but for completeness, I'll take you there. So we've got this nice pathway that goes through the woods.
Yeah, Impulse, he's taking us deep into the woods. This never ends well.
Yeah. No, I've seen this movie.
Just don't be the last one. That's all you got to worry about.
That's me. That's me.
So yes, over here, pretty straightforward.
Really?
Just this is my very first house I built. This is the very first building that was on the server. So this was episode 1. I built this house. This is where it all started. So in this building over there, we have AFK Fish Farm, which I don't use anymore. But you know, you've got to have one of those, right? But I guess the interesting stuff is more this way. So down in this hole, if you follow me this way, down in this hole, we have a creeper farm, which is, I guess, one of the things that I'm maybe notorious for, is doing horrible things to creepers.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've got here is I've got, so I think I may have been one of the first people to do this. I don't want to say I'm the first, because it's always dangerous to say that kind of thing. But I think straight away after 1.13 came out, when we had some changes made, I added this water column that goes all the way up to this contraption.
Well, I saw the charged creeper in there, so I'm guessing you're getting the wither skulls this way.
Yeah. So I did have some wither skeletons. Oh, I didn't name tag them, so they've despawned. But basically, over there on the right hand side, we have a portal, and we can easily get wither skeletons from there, and they end up in this holding chamber on the right hand side. And we have charged creepers that we can get using channeling trident. And then we just press this button over here, it brings them both together, and we can get the skulls. So I think what we'll do is, just because we're doing a quick tour, maybe can someone just spawn in with a skeleton for me? Yeah, nice one. So Skizz, do you want to give this a try?
I do.
You're going to trust him with this?
Yeah.
Tell me you got a backup.
I've got backups.
Hoping you got a backup of this world. Okay.
Yeah, I've got backups. I've got backups. Don't worry, I've got backups.
Don't be a jerk. All right, what do I do? I am a little worried.
So come over here to where I am, over in this center area.
Wait, where? Over here. Okay.
Yeah. So first of all, grab this flint and steel that's on top.
Move out of the way. Impulse. All right. So.
Yeah. Grab the flint and steel.
Okay. Gimme.
Oh, I think I took it. There we go. I'll chuck it on the floor for you. There we go.
All right, and
now just press this button, and we should see behind you. We should see a charged creeper and a wither skeleton get picked up.
Wait, why the flint and steel?
Because when the charged creeper comes over here, so they're both going to come over to this area right here, and if you just light the charged creeper with the flint and steel, and then just move back a little bit.
So I'm going to go like that.
Yeah, so we should see one of each come over. They get plopped into these water streams, they go together, and the reason this works is because you get 100% drop rate if you blow up with a skeleton with a creeper.
What do I do with that? I hit him?
If you just ignite him.
Ah!
There you go.
I wasn't ready. I was not ready.
Now there should be a wither skeleton skull in the chest now.
Look at that. What in the world is happening? Can I do another one?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, do that. All right, so I take the flint and steel. I right click on the creeper. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. Yep.
All right, here we go. Come here, Hammy. Come here, Hammy, about it, creepy about it. Clicky, clicky. Ah!
Jeez.
Oh, that's awesome.
Every time.
But not that important. But let's go into the nether, into my nether hub. Okay, so wait for everyone to join.
Okay, all right. The nether brick looks different with your resource pack.
Yeah, so so part of the
really
resource,
cool.
Yeah, so it's all black because we're kind of missing black in terms of stairs and slabs, and
that's true. Mm-hmm.
So I think I reckon DaOscar likes this build. I seem to remember this is one of his favorites. Yeah. So what we're going to do is let's. I won't tell you what it is. I won't tell you what it is. Let's go outside, and if you have a look at this building, you might need to move back a little bit, and then first of all, tell me what you think it might be.
Was it Zaron? I can't remember. What was it called? The eye from Lord of the Rings.
The Lord of the Rings. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. The eye of Sauron. And I had to clear out some space above, as you can see.
Just to make room.
Oh wow,
that's cool, man.
That's a lot. That's a lot of digging.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of TNT as well went into that, and some deaths from ghasts and stuff. All right, so let's have a look at this. So the next thing, actually the easy thing we can look at is the gold farm. So that is up here. So if we scoot all the way up, and you see a whole bunch of sea lanterns in the ceiling.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully that's easy to spot. So we come up here.
Needs a patented Skizzleman psychedelic drop there.
Yeah, the psychedelic drop.
And then you should see this big yellow on a blob in the sky. So again, this was something that I did very early on when 1.13 just came out. Now, if you scoot all the way to the very top, there's a little AFK area up here. There's a little glass platform you can AFK on.
Oh my gosh, this is so awesome.
And yeah, so the general idea with this farm is that obviously we've got 3 spawning pads for the pigmen to spawn on, and then there's a whole bunch of turtle eggs in the center. And because for some reason zombie pigmen don't like turtle eggs, they get attracted to them, but they can't get to them, so they fall down, die full damage, and we collect the gold. And then the gold should come up this glass tube in the center, and then it will end up being pushed into these chests once they start coming up. There's also an item filter at the bottom, so we filter out all of the zombie flesh, so we just get gold coming up through this.
So what do they? I'm just curious. What do they do if they get a turtle egg?
They stamp on it. So so they walk over to it, they jump on it until it smashes. So yeah, they're not very nice. But yeah, so it's very important to protect the turtle eggs. So
wow.
So they can't get to them. Yeah. So the idea here is we've got these trapdoors that surround all the turtle eggs. So they still think they can path through them, but obviously they can't get to them.
Yeah, they're not very smart.
No, they're not.
They are orcs after all. So
yeah.
Yes.
It's fun to watch because they're falling down and the gold's going up at the same time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool effect there.
Yeah, pretty nice.
Man, that is awesome. Whee!
All right, so over this way, you might see, you will see some white rings. So we have to follow the white rings. That takes us to the Wither Skeleton farm. This is because I kept getting lost whenever I tried to go there. Trying to navigate through the nether is not that easy.
Catch a little lighter course here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Fancy scumpus.
Yeah, well, yeah, I started off with a scumpus, but then I had to upgrade.
Yeah.
Hopefully some slabs, so this must have something to do with it.
Yeah, so there's a whole area that's all slabbed, which, as I'm sure you know, takes a long, long time and a lot of effort.
Yeah.
So for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down, I'm going to stand on the AFK spot down here for a second, and then we'll swap over in a minute. But if everyone else goes into spectator mode, so we get the spawns, what I'll do is I'll explain how this works, and I'll come up and have a look in a second as well for the video. But yeah, so I'm down here on the AFK spot where the Wither Skeletons are going to end up. But the basic idea here is that we've got 3 platforms all covered in wither roses, and this is an intersection of a fortress. And so Wither Skeletons will spawn on any block inside this area. And so that's why we can put down the grass and put wither roses on top. And so, of course, all of the mobs spawn from a fortress, and the wither roses kill all the mobs except for the Wither Skeletons. So that's how we keep just the Wither Skeletons that we want. And the Wither Skeletons on one side of the farm, you'll notice there's a bunch of dogs. So if a Wither Skeleton spawns on that side, they'll get scared by the dogs and they'll run to the other side. and then they see the golem, get attracted by the golem, and then they end up falling down the drop chute. And a little way down, there's a piece of lava that nullifies the fall, so they all end up falling from the same height, and then they end up being a one-hit kill at the bottom. And then we've got some dogs that can kill the wither skeletons, because in 1.14, if a dog kills a wither skeleton, it's classed as a player kill, and you can still get the skulls. So that's how that works. So I'm going to come out to spectator mode and have a look at the farm as well. So if
Unbelievable.
so you can see it working. Yeah. So there we go. And there is a tutorial for this on my channel if anyone fancies building it.
I was about to ask you. Like, is this a Logical Geek Boy original?
Yeah, this is an original Logical Geek Boy farm. One of those ones that for these kind of farms, it takes a lot of time to do all the kind of research and planning out. And then when I do the tutorials for these, I try and explain like each part of the mechanics. So not necessarily. So really, I don't really want people to copy it block for block. I want them to understand why it's working, so then they can adapt it for their particular needs. But yeah,
it's cool, man. Very smart.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that the reason the golems are on the enchantment tables is just because it's a height thing with the being able to see.
Yeah, that's right. So the reason for that, so I have to have the golems at that particular height, because if you have regular skeletons that spawn, if they can see the golem, they start shooting it. And so this is just happens to be just the precise height. So even if a skeleton spawns, it doesn't matter where a skeleton spawns in the farm, it can't see the golem. But because the wither skeletons are 3 high, they can see it. So
that must have taken ages to figure out the right height.
Yeah, I did lots of experiments with lots of different blocks. But yeah, that seems to be just the right height.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that kind of worked out pretty well.
So what is it how are they dying in here? What's making them die where the roses are?
So the wither roses, they damage basically any mob except for wither roses, except for withers. So all the withers, all the wither skeletons survive, and they end up running this way, and all the other mobs get killed by the wither roses, and that of course releases up the mob cap for more spawn straight away afterwards. And then in terms of the killing mechanism, so they fall down this big chute, and they end up at the bottom. And down the bottom you've got 2 modes, so you can either kill them with your sword. So you've got a looting sword, you can just chop away at the wither skeletons, and they come down at quite a good rate. See Rozsy's doing, Oscar's doing that for us. Now, if you want to do AFK, you can flip a lever. The 2 dogs come in, and they've got eyesight of the wither skeletons. And the important thing is that the wither skeletons need to be a 1-hit kill, because if they're not, they fight back and they damage the dogs. So the dogs just take care of business. And yeah, as I said, this is a change in 1.14, so now you can get the skulls if a dog kills a skeleton.
Wow.
Yeah,
very cool, man. This is very, very smart.
Yeah, and then of course the whole surrounding area is totally slabbed up. Spent a lot of time flying around making sure I got every space. And that's to be honest, that's the most important thing, and also the hardest thing is to slab up the area, because even if you leave a small pocket, that could really hurt your rates.
Yeah, that is the tedious part of building these farms.
Yes.
You would think it's all this technical stuff in the middle, but it's not. It's placing all these slabs.
You know what? You got to wonder, right, if like the developers, like the Minecraft developers, see videos like this and they're like, stop it! They keep trying to make these ominous creatures, but you guys just keep owning them. It's awesome.
All right, so I think that's that. So I think we can move on. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to the castle. Okay, so I think let's let Skizz go first, and I just want to hear the reaction. So hop in this minecart, Skizz.
Okay.
And then press this button behind you.
Oh, here we go.
And everyone listen.
Where am I going? Ah! Oh, what the? This is awesome. Am I dead? I feel like I'm dead.
Impulse, do you want to go next?
Now, I'm a little nervous now what he's dealing with. But
dude.
Oh, nice. Piston bolt action?
Yeah, we've got a piston bolt. So yeah, we've got a couple of those in the world. So I'm gonna come after you.
Oh man, that's a nice long one.
Hey, buddy.
Oh, you're gonna die. You're gonna die. You're gonna ruin the piston bolt. Logical's gonna be so mad at you.
I got out of the way.
Oh, how come the cart didn't go off the end?
So the cart should disappear, hopefully.
Oops.
Oops. Oh, there they go. Look at that.
I didn't break anything.
Yes, they should. They end up falling down on the soul sand.
That was awesome.
Okay, so that is that. I assume, Skizz, that's your first piston bolt?
Yeah.
Okay, there we
go.
go.
So much so, I don't even know what words you're using.
Okay, let me give you a super quick explanation. If you look closer down there, you'll see there's a whole bunch of rails, but they're all curved rails. So basically, the idea is that the minecart isn't actually moving on its own. It's being pushed by the pistons onto each rail, one after the other. And so on the diagonal piston bolt, you can travel 28 blocks per second. So, and also it's AFK. So this is really good if you're doing long distance travel. So you can just get in a minecart and, just chill. Not have to worry about flying.
I'm actually impressed and blown away that works as well as it does on a multiplayer server. I would assume that it would like fall out of sync or whatever. Remember the old school elevators?
Couldn't do it the zippers, right?
Yeah.
They stopped working after a while. Yeah. But
okay, so we've got
reliable.
We've got a few farms here to see. So I think let's start off with this one over here. This is the witch farm. So we go this way. So try to decorate the tunnel and make it look kind of witchy, if you like.
Yeah, this is cool. Very cool.
So you end up in a witch hut. And then if you come out and have a look around, we have 2 witch huts.
Oh, cool.
But they're decorated. So, and just above, there's this huge broomstick. So if you come up and stand on the broomstick, this is the AFK spot.
Oh my gosh, this is awesome.
So it might just take a minute, but witches, right? You know what they do? They get bottles of potions and they try and throw them at you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I thought it'd be funny to see if I can get a witch to throw witches. So in a second, once it starts working, we should hopefully see some action.
I love that it's not just an
that right there. I see it.
It's a broom. It's not. He could have just put a block with a ladder up to it to stand on. Made a broom.
Yeah. So if you look, there's some witches coming out.
I saw it. It's
you saw it,
coming out of her mouth.
Yeah. So I'm trying to make it look like she's throwing a potion, but obviously she's throwing a witch. Is the idea. Now with these farms aren't super efficient. There's lots of things you can do to make it more efficient. But I think one of the goals for this series, as it transpires, is that I try and focus on having fun and doing things differently, not just doing things in the most efficient way. So there's obviously compromises with that. But yeah, here you go, some witches coming out.
There we go.
Yes, they fall to their death, and they basically landed on some hoppers, and then there's a water stream underneath that takes it back to the storage in the center.
Okay,
dude, that is so awesome.
That is super.
Oh, look at that disgusting wart. Right on her nose. I love it. Right down to less detail.
Yeah, so inside their feet is obviously where the witch hut would be, and we just use a standard shifting floor design to kind of farm the witches, but then they just get put into a water stream, and then there's a bubble elevator that takes them up to the top, and then a slime block that pushes them out, and obviously the rest is just decoration to hide it all.
Very cool. I'm gonna go in and take a peek. I gotta see the guts. Oh, see, this is what I should have done in the Killing Tango contest: is put 2 of the launchers like you did, and then it wouldn't have misfired on the. Oh man, smart.
I didn't mean to.
Let's go let's see the Blaze Farm. Why not?
Okay, let's see the Blaze Farm. Okay,
looks like it's down this way.
Yeah. So hopefully it's relatively obvious. So does anyone like roller coasters? That's the question.
Oh,
yes.
Okay, you're gonna like this one then. So again, trying to do things differently, trying to just think of how can I do this in a different way that's not the same thing that everyone else has done. So if we come over to the center, you see there's lots of stuff going on here, and it's probably not obvious what's going on. But what I'll do is there's some levers above us that we can turn it all on. So first of all, I'm going to get rid of the lava with a flip of the lever. So the lava slowly drains away, and then obviously our blazes can then spawn. There they go. And the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to flip this one with a slime block, which is going to start our fly machines. So we've got some slime block fly machines that push all of the blazes over to this center point over here. So I'm going to leave that running just for a little bit, just to get a few in there, because it's more impressive when they're kind of built up a little bit. But the idea here is that what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the third lever, which has got the minecart, and that's going to release a whole bunch of minecarts, and it's going to pick up the blazes, and it's going to send them on this little roller coaster. So a lot of the time with blaze farms, what you do is you end up putting them into a hole and you suffocate them for a bit to take them down to a one hit, and then you kill them. Mm-hmm. So I thought rather than just leave them in a hole and suffocating them, why not put them on a railway track? And so as they're moving around all of this area, they're getting damaged by the blocks above them. and softening them up so when they get over to here where white is, they end up here and they're a one-hit kill because they've gone through this whole maze of.
So that is amazing. So you configured this so that they are getting the exact right amount of damage on the ride. So when they come back, they're a one-hit kill.
Yep, exactly.
Is that hearing
exactly.
that? Oh wow,
exactly.
That's awesome.
So you can see. So that's why if you look around, you'll see there's some glass above and some blocks, and that's because I had to tweak it to have the right number of damaging blocks versus transparent blocks. Because also I don't want them to see me. So when I'm standing here, I don't want them to shoot me. So I've got to block their vision.
All right, I got to see him go for a ride.
Okay, so now we need to flip this lever, and we should see some minecarts come along and pick them up. And
there it goes.
They go all over the place, and there's some spectral arrows, spectral arrows that shoot them as well, so it's easier to see where they are. And even if you're here in this AFK spot with a glass floor, they come right underneath you, and so you get a good view of them.
Oh my god! Look at that! Enjoy the ride, idiots! Yes.
And then they end up falling down here into this chamber. So if you fancy chopping up some blazes, then feel free.
I just killed so many, dude.
You just made his day.
That's so satisfying. Oh man.
Oh, this is cool.
This is really cool.
Yeah, so this is one of my
the
favorites.
detail with the spectral arrows, man. That's what got me. I think the most out of this is that something that most people would never think of.
Exactly. For a second there in the beginning, I thought it was a texture pack thing.
Yeah.
Oh, man, how very cool! Super creative.
So this one is themed from a film. So I'll give you an opportunity to maybe guess. It's probably not that easy to guess, but think of a sci-fi
I'm
film.
gonna say Matrix.
Got it. Right, you nailed it.
Nailed it.
Okay, nailed it.
I
Okay.
feel it, dude. I felt it. The code.
Wow. Good job, dude.
Okay, so if we go through here, yeah, that's it. And if you go, so if you follow that all the way up to the top, the scaffolding. All right, so there's some squid. So first of all, they look like the Sentinels from the Matrix. So that's again another white Wite Rabid texture you did for me. So Skizz, take a look at this portal. Anything you see that looks a bit weird?
All right, let's see. It's like not complete. What's happening?
Yep.
How is that a thing?
So basically, what I've done here is this is a technique called update suppression. So what you do is, so this was in 1.13. This method doesn't work in 1.14 anymore, unfortunately. But if you place 2,500 banners, one on top of the other, on the bottom obsidian block, and then you mine the obsidian block, the obsidian block obviously breaks, which then breaks the first banner, which breaks the second banner, which breaks the third banner, and so on, for 2,500 of them. And that's too many updates for the game to deal with. And so it just gives up and says, I give up. And so because you do that, it then doesn't break the portal itself. And of course I have to do that twice. So I have to place 5,000 banners. And that's why it's up here, very high up. Obviously you can see the bedrock. That's because I had to build a tunnel that went 2,500 blocks. Or I'd say build, I had to dig out a tunnel that was 2,500 blocks so I could easily place all the banners.
Oh my gosh.
That is okay. Having this as the Matrix is the right thing because you're Neo seeing the code. That's that is ridiculous. So could you, if you wanted to, and if you had a tremendous amount of free time, could you do that with all of the blocks on there and just have it be floating on?
Yep, absolutely.
Well,
yep.
Can you go do it real quick?
Feel like you're still placing the banners like today, right?
Yeah,
like,
it's a lot of grind.
You probably have nightmares about placing banners at this point.
Yeah, there's
that is absolutely amazing. I can't even get over it.
I love the texture change too. That was a nice touch.
All right. Well, I don't even know. That's all right, everybody. I'm really going to blow your mind here. Gather around here, see what it is. You put a block like that, and then you do that, and then like that. There's your compass.
That's it.
There we go.
Best invention.
That's the way out. Okay, now I know how to leave. Thank you.
I know you think this suppression boobly blop, whatever you call it over there, with the but this is this compass. That's the real genius right there. Oh, that's what I wanted to ask you. How is it that you made sure that that those squids weren't coming out of the portal we just went through.
Yeah, so there's a lot of trial and error and maths to make sure that the portals don't link up. But yeah, you can. There's ways to make sure portals don't link up. But basically, over here we have these large portals. So I think there's 4 portals or 5 portals, and in between each one there's a bunch of water sources. And so squids spawn in the water, and then they end up swimming into the portal pretty quickly. Yeah, so there's 4 portals. So if you look on the side, you'll see there's lots of 2x2s of water. And so the squids pretty much spawn and then pretty much immediately go into a portal. And then we get some pretty good rates. And obviously this is inside a river biome, of course. And of course, we have to drain all of the other water around, so there's no other squid spawning. So that's why all the sand is partitioning the riverbed. Okay, so so there's some glass over here. So you can look down here. Is one place you can look. And this is obviously the monument that I've dug out. So I've taken away the monument, but left all the water. So I've not drained the water at all, left all the water in place. And then there's a whole bunch of, if you look closely, there's a whole bunch of fence gates underneath. So that stops the water. And what guardians do is, guardian behavior is that if there's nothing to target, they just float down. So just wait for them to float down, and then they end up falling out of the water into another water stream and then into a killing area. So it's like a super simple way to farm guardians. Now, I guess the interesting stuff for this farm, so I did 2 interesting things, I think. So first of all, I had to use a mob switch to make sure no guardians spawned. So when I took this monument down, there weren't any guardians. So that was one thing I did. We can elaborate that in a minute.
That's smart, because I suffered many deaths in season 5 when I did the guardian thing.
And the second thing, maybe if we come over and sort of have a look at it from the side, and if you have a look at the walls of this of the guardian farm, you'll notice something about them. So all of the walls, all 4 sides, was built using a contraption. So I didn't place any of these. Well, I did place all these blocks, but not in their position. So I stood in one corner. I think it was over the other far side. Basically, I stood over here, and I had a machine that would give me random blocks, random gravity blocks, and I would just place them in one place. And then I had a contraption where the gravity block, like sand, for example, would go into the contraption and it would place it down. And once one column got filled up, it was like a flying machine that then moved over one block, and then all the blocks would then end up in the next column, and then the next column, and the next column. And so I could stand in one spot, and then all of the walls were built around all 4 sides by just using slime blocks to. That was when the gravity blocks could go onto fences, and they would move forever. So you just push them with slime blocks, and they'd end up shooting around the corners to the next column until all the walls were done.
I love it. And then you ensured that this was going to be completely 100% random. And so,
yep.
Have you found any kind of, I don't know, any kind of hidden message or anything like that in here? Like just anything that, like when you look at clouds and they look like something, have you found anything in these walls that you're like, oh, that looks like a stick figure, or you know what I mean, or the letter A.
Let me tell you this: when I was inside looking at these, it dawned on me what you could do. You know those old pictures that you kind of let your eyes relax, you look through it, and it becomes 3D. You get big enough on one of these, you can make that. You know what I mean? That's what I thought.
Okay, I found the number 1. I'm happy now. There's the number 1 on the side here.
Awesome.
Now you got to put a 00 next to it.
Spectator mode inside this thing is crazy.
Yeah, so if you want to go in spectator mode and go inside, so obviously you'll see, I'm going to go inside where the guardians are in the center. So obviously the guardians spawn in here. There's just a big area of water. So what I wanted to try and do is not have to drain all the water, because I've done it before and it's super boring. So I didn't want to do that. But instead I placed down literally 1 million fence gates, which was just as boring. So you see the guardians, they end up falling into this water stream that takes them to this center point, and then there's a bunch of wither roses underneath that kill them. I did have lava, but there's a bug in 1.14 where they swim up in lava now, so lava's not so good for killing.
This is so gross.
But yeah, they end up dying.
Awesome.
Collect all the drops, and then the drops go on these water streams. Then they can go all the way back up again, up through an item elevator, back to the storage, which is on the roof.
I like the sorting system you used, by the way.
Yeah, that's didn't Skizzleman invent that?
Yeah.
I just know how to get myself back to the sorting system if I get lost. That's the only thing I can do.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got one more corridor off of this mini hub, and this is this one over here. Now this one's not finished. This one's still a work in progress, so you have to forgive me for not completing this one. I was hoping to get it done for today, but it's not done. But I've made a start. So here we have another one of another piston bolt. So this is a straight piston bolt. So this is 20 blocks per second. So if you hop into the minecart and then this button right directly behind you, if you press that button, that should shoot you off.
Yeah!
And it will take you. It should take you around the corner. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Unbelievable.
Great. Now you're going to be asking me to build one of these on Skyblock, aren't you?
I'm going to be telling you to. Let's do it. Can we do it?
No.
Impulse, I want one. Can we have one?
I'll send you to the video explaining how to build it, and you can do it. Oh, this is going to be Skizzleman's favorite. I can already see by the sign.
Woo!
Yeah. So again, this is a different twist on how to farm ice. So obviously we have, so in the center, obviously we have some water, and the water will freeze and turn into ice. And then this side over here, we have these fly machines that have got pistons underneath, and every morning they will fly from one side to the other. And as they do, they've got pistons underneath which fire that's push all of the ice downwards. And then you'll end up over time having a big cube of ice that you can then go underneath and farm. Now the interesting stuff here is how we get the ice to spread, especially in the center. So the way ice works is when it spreads, it has to spread from a solid block. So you won't just get ice in the middle of water unless it's got a block there. So the question then is, how do we get this ice to spread in the center to increase the speed that ice forms? And that is over this side, we have some people, some guys. We have 3 zombie pigmen behind these pistons. And what happens is at night time, the pistons open, releasing the pigmen. And what they do is on the other side, they see some, on the other side, they see these turtle eggs, and they're attracted to turtle eggs because, as we know, they don't like them. So they walk from that side to this side, and then they get trapped on this side, and they've got frostwalker boots. So what they do is they create they create 3 lanes of frosted ice, and then that happens overnight. And so there's a period of time where the frosted ice is around, and then some ice blocks form next to the frosted ice. Then when it gets to daytime again, the frosted ice melts, and then we've got seed blocks of ice in the center and sort of dotted all over the place, and then the ice can form around those, and then we get a full sheet of ice that freezes in time for the next harvest. So there you go.
Yeah,
Wow.
if I was streaming right now, I'd be hitting the mind blown button.
Yes, dude.
Wow, that's brilliant.
Wow, that is just sick. All right, I'll run
awesome.
you through this compass one more time. Maybe I missed it. How do you get him to get back? Oh, there's a turtle egg behind him.
Yeah, there's a turtle. So there's a turtle egg on both sides, but when he's inside here, he can't. Yeah, so if you look at this one right here, you'll see there's a block above the turtle egg. So you need 2 blocks of air above the turtle egg for the zombie pigman to aggro towards the turtle egg. So because there's a block above it, he's not interested in it because he can't stomp on it. There's not enough space for him. And so on the other side, if you look at the other side where the turtle egg is available, you'll see there's not a block above it. So as soon as he's released, he'll walk over straight away to try and stomp on his egg. But he'll hit this pressure plate, and then that will protect the egg before he can jump on it. And obviously there's a bunch of redstone behind to work out all the timings and make sure things happen in the right order and things like that. There goes. There's the
here we go.
So they go across and they push all the ice down. Yeah. So there's one block here on the side that's just source blocks that doesn't get harvested.
Okay.
And that will refill. And there's troughs of water at either end as well.
Oh yeah, I see.
So now we get a full. There we go. So the mobs are now released.
There they
walk
go.
Across. So they're tracking the eggs on the other side. And they go all the way across. And you can see there's an ice starting to form. So there's one over here starting to form.
Yeah.
And then they get trapped on the other side.
Oh my god.
So for this farm to work, you don't need that many ice blocks in the center. You just need a couple just to seed it. So obviously all the ice that forms, there'd be a whole bunch of ice that forms from this side, the solid blocks on the other side, and you just need a few in the middle just to seed it.
You're good to go. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's fine.
Yeah.
And then you just have to wait for that to freeze, and then it does that every day.
And it's got to be super satisfying to come in here and harvest all this ice too.
Yeah, exactly.
Huge. You got a huge cube of ice.
Yeah, so this will come down. Obviously, this will come down to 12 blocks deep because that's how far a piston can push. And so there's a platform up here, so you can just literally walk across and just look up and harvest all the blocks, and it will leave the top ice block so the water doesn't go anywhere. We don't want a flood of water. So it's easy to mine, and then the bottom layer you can just stand on the bottom to get there, so you can harvest the whole thing, whole cube.
Wow,
perfect. That's awesome.
That is so
very
awesome.
Nicely done. I am stealing this.
So this was a 1.12 build, and we are inside a desert, and we have a large water trough, a large swimming pool, if you like. And this was my first squid farm. So squids would spawn in the water, and if you look underneath here, as you can hear, we have a wither. And what happens is the wither will target, obviously mobs, and it will also target squid. So as you're a squid swimming around here, the wither would see you, the wither would shoot the squid would die, and in 1.12 items float down to the bottom, they sink to the bottom, and there's a minecart track underneath all of this to pick up the drops. And there's also on the other side the wither. You can see the wither's shooting at the wall at the moment. That's because there's a couple of iron golems that are precisely positioned so it can see them, but it can't actually shoot them. So if I turn on the clock, right? So I've turned on the clock. So this will periodically break the line of sight to the golems. So then the wither will try and track something else, and then you can see it's starting to shoot the squid.
Wow.
Right,
So-
and these are not block breaking.
No, so
Skulls.
with the wither, so with the wither, it will shoot blue skulls if he's not occupied. So if he doesn't have a target, he will shoot blue skulls. So the idea with this farm is you always have to give him a target. That's why we have the golems on the other side. So he's always got a target. So he'll never shoot. He'll never shoot blue skulls.
And now you can get a wither rose.
Yeah. Well, of course, the thing here is that the squids don't spawn here anymore in deserts. So this doesn't.
Oh yeah,
work.
that's right. That's true. They killed that too.
Yeah, so we just spawned some in here manually for demonstration. So this is obsolete now, unfortunately. So I need to think of something else to do with this wither. So we'll see what happens.
Jeez.
Wither rose farm, some mob farm, and
Yeah,
give him some mobs to
give him
shoot.
some mobs to shoot, and then we're good.
That could be fun.
You actually have a spawner back here.
Episode 101 is already planned. Nice.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, so
My mind is blown. My mind is absolutely blown from what I've seen. I've been quiet for a while, and I realize my tongue's all dry. My mouth is just been wide open.
Okay, well, I'll be interested to see what you say when you see my base. But anyway, we'll come to that later. All right, so this is a map of this area. So what I try to do here is, so a lot of my builds end up being technical builds, and I really want to try and be a well-rounded player. So this is more around decorative and trying to build. So that's the idea: trying to build a city that looks good. Doesn't really have much function, but it's just a look good kind of city. So this is something that I'm trying to get better at. So this is the centerpiece of the city. So this is still work in progress. Still more work to do. But if we come out here, this centerpiece is a ziggurat. So there's still a lot of work to do.
Nice.
So I'm starting to plan out where buildings are going to be. So that's what this netherrack is all about. And I've started building this kind of sand wall around the city. And this is loosely inspired by the city of Marine in Game of Thrones. They have a ziggurat, and they have
Very
all
good.
around the outside. So at the very front, in fact, if we go outside, the very front, we have this city gate. There's a wall with city gates, and this little this little cart that's about to come into the city. So maybe he's a trader, that kind of thing. And then we can come in through the city gates, and we've got some double gates here. So if there's if some enemies turn up, they can shut both gates, and they're pretty secure. And then inside here we have this little market area.
What'd you do?
There's stuff behind us.
What?
What have you done?
You're not supposed to look yet.
All right, I'm saying you made me.
Okay.
Look at that. We didn't even talk about this over here. I'm not trying to derail us, but this is awesome over here. What the heck? Oh my God.
So that's the cities. But if we pull back and go through the desert, you'll see something else. So inside here, this is my general mob farm. So inside here, this is pretty straightforward. Inside, there's a bunch of spawning platforms and water that pushes them off into killing into a drop, and they end up dropping onto this magma blocks in the center, and there's minecarts underneath that pick up all their drops. So if you want to go inside, it's probably quite dark. But if you're in spectator mode, you'll be able to see mob spawn, and you'll see that there's water that pushes them over. So there's alternate level. So the water flushes on alternate levels. So there's always a space for mobs to spawn. And then they get pushed off, and they fall down onto the magma blocks.
See ya.
And of course, one of the reasons why we use magma blocks is sometimes you get mobs that end up with feather falling boots on, so the magma block kills them off as well. Yeah, so then underneath, so if you hop on underneath, and if you're in spectator mode, you'll see there's minecarts that running across. They'll pick up all the items, send them back to this collection system, and then there's a whole bunch of shulker box loaders underneath. So that if you can see that, it's a bit squished in here.
Yeah.
But there's over on this far side, there's some shulker box loaders. Now what happens here is, this is actually interesting for later on as well. So all the items get put into these shulker boxes, and once they're full, obviously they get broken, and then they get put into this water stream that's over here, and then those shulker boxes go off somewhere else. Now we'll come to where that is and what that happens later on, but just bear in mind there's items being farmed here, and they're going into shulker boxes off somewhere else. But we'll cover the rest of that shortly, where they actually go. Right. And then once everyone's back, we'll go through this portal right here. So this is the portal that goes towards the end. Right, so just hang in this room for a second. Don't go anywhere. So before I talk about this room, there's stuff to talk about in this room, but before we do that, let's go. I want to show you some backstage stuff. Right, so if we go down this scaffolding down here, this takes you to kind of behind the scenes, where I don't really show very much, but this is where I have another mining area.
He's laughing at me because all right, I got big feet, dude.
So first of all, I'll quickly show you this. This is not super interesting, but I'll show you it for completeness. So if you come down here, this is where I do a lot of my my strip mining. So I've got a beacon mine down here. But the interesting stuff here is that you'll notice we've got this water stream in the middle. So the idea here is that I can go around here, strip mine as much as I like, fill up my inventory, and then what I do is I just dump all the stone that I've mined into this water stream, and then it gets taken care of for me. So I can just stay down here mining stuff. I don't have to worry about items. Just when you're done, just throw them in this water stream. And so if we follow this back, it ends up over here to this bubble column. So all the items get shot up this bubble column all the way back up, basically back up to where we were. So I just wanted to show you this, just so you get an idea of where this is where I get all these items from. So if we hop back up the stairs.
Has anybody yelled at you for leaving these emeralds in the wall?
Not yet.
I might have.
Make sure you show them off in every other video or so. Look at them and walk away. Trust me.
If you look above us, we don't need to. You can fly up there and have a look if you like. But above us, there is a whole bunch of shulker box loaders, and that is where the items end up that we mine the stone mines. And there's too many for the hoppers to process. So yeah, if you imagine dumping your full inventory in one go, and what hopper speed is, there's too many items to pick them up first time. So they end up going on this loop. So they end up going round and round and round this water stream until they're all picked up. And there's enough hoppers here for the different items to collect them all. So they end up in these hoppers, end up in shulker boxes. And then down here, so before I talk about the next bit, if we go over this way, if you can see where I am, there's another water stream right here. This is the water stream where the mob drops come from. So the shulker box. So this is the other end of the mob farm shulker boxes. So we end up. Long story cut short is we end up over here, and there's a hopper minecart just underneath here. So that will get filled up with shulker boxes, both from the mob farm and from my strip mining. And once that minecart gets filled up with 5 shulker boxes, it gets released, and it goes down this track, and it falls through that hole. Okay?
Okay.
So that's where I get a whole bunch of my overworld drops. They go through there. Now, if we go down, maybe just go through spectator mode might be easiest. If you come down here, you'll see that where that hole is above is above a portal to the end. Now, is there anything strange about this portal?
You took the frame off?
Did you put a bunch of banners on it?
There's no frame. There's no no eyes. They're all gone because they don't look very good, right? So you've got to get rid of them.
No. Yep.
So basically, to get rid of those, you use the same technique you do to break bedrock.
Yeah, I used it, and you had this back when the dragon egg worked, right?
No. So I did this afterwards. So I did this with the same. Well, actually, two different methods because it's locational. So I think you did this impulse where you use your Relighter to kind of fly underneath and place a piece of redstone, right? Place a piece of TNT. So that worked for most of them, but there was a couple of blocks where that doesn't work because it's locational.
Those stubborn blocks. I've dealt with those.
Yeah, so then I had to use a different method, which was one from Ed Example, I think, where you basically have a TNT minecart and a bunch of craziness with headless pistons and rails and pistons to make sure to give them a higher resistance, blast resistance. Yeah, so basically you managed to get rid of all of them using those two techniques.
Wow.
So that's the end portal, and yeah, so above us, this is where the minecarts fall into the end, and then we deal with them from there. So now we're going to go into where my base is. Now, before we go through the portal, what I'd like you to do, guys, is imagine, what do you imagine the end to be? Like in a typical world, right? You go through the end portal, there's like a massive island of endstone, 10 pillars of obsidian that are, I don't know how, maybe a couple of 100 blocks tall, but they're pretty big, pretty thick, right?
Yep.
Okay, so can you picture that in your mind? Okay.
I absolutely can.
Okay, let's go through.
Okay. What?
So we're on the Obsidian Platform where you spawn in. Now what happens, let's talk about the items first of all before we talk about the other stuff. So what happens here is when the hopper minecart comes through the portal, it will land on this platform. Now there's actually embedded in the obsidian, there is a hopper minecart. So that will suck up all of the items, so all of the shulker boxes, and then it drops them underneath where we are now into a water stream, which then takes it to my main base. So that's how all of my, we'll see the storage system later, but that's how
you're saying your main base is in the end. That's what I'm picking up on.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, so my main base is in the end, and that's how I get overworld items from farms into the end, into my base, automatically without me having to do anything.
Cool. Very cool.
Wow.
Okay, so we're inside something right now. Obviously, we're not inside a whole bunch of endstone. So it's probably hard to work out where we are from looking inside, right? But maybe if you come over here, and there's a kind of a clue. So there's a couple of guys in there. So have a look at what they're called. That might give you a clue.
All right. Okay. Oh, Chewy. Oh. Okay.
No way. And I can see it.
Okay. I bit my tongue when I put my armor on. And I saw the helmet was named Vader. I got AT-AT2. We got Bobo's boots. Yeah.
Okay.
Bro, did you look out the window, dude?
Somebody is a Star Wars.
Yes.
Yeah. Fan.
So, okay. So if you're into your sci-fi, this might be interesting. Anyway, let's go this way. Let's go up this ladder. Right, I'm just going to be quiet. I just want to just come up here and look around.
Okay. Oh.
Wait, how'd you get up where?
No. Oh my God.
How'd you do
No.
How'd you get up there? I want to see.
You didn't build an entire Death Star.
Yeah, well,
What
if you
is
come,
happening?
we'll come to that later. If you come over here, Impulse, we'll talk about this side first.
Okay, I couldn't help it. I went. It's got a tractor beam. It sucked me in.
Wow. Oh my God.
Oh, okay. Now I see what we were in.
What?
So if you, let's look at the ship we were in first. So we were
the Millennium.
we were inside the Millennium Falcon, and if you look underneath, you'll see that there's a little water trough, and there's like a black tube that goes towards the Death Star. So that's where the shulker boxes land, and they get transported over in that direction. So that's where the items end up.
So you did it out of obsidian just so it wouldn't be as noticeable down here, right? Is that way? Oh my gosh.
Well, of course, you might then ask, where did you get all that obsidian, Logic? There's a lot of obsidian there.
Mm-hmm. That's a good question.
So what's missing?
Valid.
What's missing? If you just look around here, obviously there's lots of stuff you can see that is here, but what isn't here?
The entire end island?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the obsidian pillars.
Yeah, and the obsidian pillars. You would have had to mine all that out.
Mm-hmm. Yep, gosh. I'll just remind, this is all survival.
Oh my gosh.
So obviously we've got the Falcon here. So that was the first ship that I built, the Falcon. And then we've got a couple of X-Wings. We've got the white one. So they've got the Luke Skywalker white one, and we've got the Poe Dameron black X-Wing. And then
very cool.
And then behind them, we've got the Milano, which is Peter Quill's ship from Guardians of the Galaxy.
And you got the Enterprise over here.
Yep. I think that's probably my favourite build is the Enterprise.
Yeah, it looks absolutely awesome.
So if you look at the top of the saucer section, we even get the serial number.
Wow.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the texture pack thing.
I'm like, how are you going to? What am I? Yep.
Yeah. So the way that's done. That's the bit of texture pack trickery. So with note blocks, with a note block, obviously you can have different instruments based on what blocks underneath it, but also what note it's tuned at. You can have a different texture per note. So it's different. So different texture per note per instrument. That gives you a lot of extra textures.
It's a note block, Skizz. Just check it out. Right click on one, dude. It's
totally on what? The number? Wait, what?
I almost got him.
What would have happened?
You would have been kicked off the tour. What would have happened?
I almost said it, dude.
So we've got the Enterprise. So underneath, obviously, we've got the photon torpedo bays. We've got the deflector dish. And we've got these the nacelles at the back that obviously create the warp field, impulse engines as well. Now we can also go inside. So if you go to the very back, there's an entrance.
Is this my welcome mat right here?
Come on in.
Just for me? I'm the only one allowed to.
Oh yeah,
mat, right?
Yeah, just like your logo, yeah. And so we can obviously in the Enterprise they have the classic red doors that move across.
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm.
So don't go through the portal because you'll end up back at spawn. But here is our transporter room, right? So you can jump into this transporter room and get transported down to the planet, which obviously is back to spawn. So that's the transporter room. Now we can also go to the bridge. So I've got a secret entrance. So Akoi, if you could just shift it out of the way. If we tap this redstone, this note block opens up this secret passage.
Okay.
We can go this way. Oh, yeah, go through here. There's a little bubble column that takes you up. And then we can go into the bridge. So you click this button on the side, and we're inside in the bridge.
Oh, wow. This is cool.
This is awesome.
So Skizz, you can sit in a captain's chair if you like.
All right.
Captain Skizz. There you go.
Oh, we're in danger. We're in danger.
All right.
Make it so number one.
That's right, yes. In fact, first order of business, Impulse. Get out of here. This is awesome. Oh, I messed up the chair.
That's all right. Don't worry about that.
Jeez, I
can't take you anywhere, can we?
Nope.
I know. There we go.
That's it. You're demoted to number 2.
That's right.
So we've got another ship over here. Now you may not recognise this ship.
I don't, but I feel like I should.
So this is from a British comedy series called Red Dwarf. So this is a ship. This is a ship called Starbug. So this is pretty big in the UK at least. So depending on where you're from, you may or may not have seen this. But this is a ship from that series. So this ship in particular. So obviously I was designing lots of ships to come into the end. Now ZZaRReFF, who's with us, said
hello.
Said can I design Starbug for you? So I said sure. So he did it, and he sent me the design. And then actually we had a special episode where he came on. We put the world onto the server, and he came on with me, and we built it together. And so it's like a community collaboration where we built this together up. So this is his design, not mine.
Nice.
Yeah,
I like that you got the portal inside too.
Yeah, so this
end gateway.
Yeah, that's right. So this hides this portal, so we don't have to see it.
Very cool.
So obviously these are all the goodie ships. These are all the good guys. Now it's time to find the baddies. So let's go this way. So obviously there's quite a big space station in front of you, which we'll come to that last. We'll come to that last. So first of all, let's go over to the left, and you'll see a bunch of TIE fighters.
God,
these are great.
So we've got there's an interceptor class at the front, and then some standard ones behind, and then a couple of black ones behind them. They're special forces TIE fighters.
Okay, so the one thing that we haven't talked about, and I think it needs to be mentioned, is we're in the end.
Yeah.
So everything has to be mob proofed, or else you got Enderman everywhere, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So that had to be on the forefront of your mind on every block you placed. Oh my gosh.
Yep. So if you look at the Death Star in particular, we'll come to this properly, but if you look at the top hemisphere of the Death Star, there's carpets on every single block.
wow.
So the Death Star, I think it was 90,000 blocks placed to make that.
What?
And obviously you've got the trench in the middle, and there's the laser beam at the front, so that's an end crystal. So you can get that, I'm sure Impulse you've seen this before, but you can get that from when you spawn the dragon. If you push an end crystal off of the obsidian pillar at the right time, then the beam will remain, and then you can then push that end crystal wherever you want with the fly machine. So I basically pushed it from where it was over there above where the Enterprise is, and pushed it over to this position, and then built the Death Star around it.
What the heck is happening?
You did a little texture change to the beam too to make it green, right?
Yep, that's right. Yep.
That's awesome.
God, that is cool.
That was White again.
Can I get in it?
Yeah, we're going to go inside in a second. So I think if we go, let's go to back to where the TIE fighters are, and just next to the TIE fighters, you'll see a cube. So are you guys Trekkies?
A little bit. I was when I was a lot younger.
Yeah.
Not like super Trekkie, but yeah, this definitely looks familiar. It's bringing me back, but I can't put my finger on it.
So this is a ball cube from Star Trek.
Okay.
But if we go inside, it has a function. So there's a spawning pad at the very top with Enderman spawn, and there's a flying machine that goes across, and it will push them into this big triangle on the side. And then they'll fall down, and then there's a bunch of pistons that then funnel them right to the center into these two blocks underneath. And then I can chop them up. Now, 1.14 is super annoying because they're really loud. But yeah, that's where I get my XP.
That's awesome.
Oh, they are upset.
Yeah, now you've done it. Right, don't do that ever again. I'll turn it off. Yeah, so that's how that works.
Very nice. Wow. That's awesome. You know, Ender Pearls, cool. they're underrated these days, I think. Everybody's just using elytras to get everywhere now, but I still think Ender Pearls have a purpose.
Yeah, I use them all the time.
Good. All right. You're with me on this.
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
Heck yeah, dude.
100%.
I thought I was going to have to make signs and stuff.
No. I mean, especially when you're
riled up.
Yeah, no, especially when you're doing a build like in a confined space, especially you just want to hop up like 3 blocks, you can't jump. It's too small a gap for elytra, so
right.
Yeah, the rest is perfect. So if we come over to the other side of the Death Star now.
Wow.
This is unreal. This is absolutely unreal.
Did I just see a golem fall out?
Yep, you sure did.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
So obviously my iron farm broke in 1.12, right? So I've got to build a new iron farm.
Yeah.
So where better to build it than inside the Star Destroyer?
Oh, cool, perfect.
Yeah, so of course if you scoot around and sort of take a look at it from the different profiles, you get a kind of good look. I'm particularly proud of the back actually. Took a lot of detail work to get that. But yeah.
Oh, that looks awesome.
Meanwhile, you're over the void the entire time.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, in survival over the void, just constructing a Star Destroyer. Yeah, no biggie.
That's great.
This is
Looks
amazing.
so good.
Insane.
Using a lot of the new blocks in 1.14.
Yeah, I tried to pay attention to some detail because previously, not so much in this world, well, at least early on in this world, and previously when I've played the game, I've just focused on just building something that works. Like just building on a farm that works. That's it. Leave it. But now I really wanted to pay attention to try and improve as a builder as well. So
yeah, it shows.
Spend time.
Shows. You got a lot of little details in this thing.
So then, if you hop inside, you can see it's got some functionality inside. So this is my good buddy Doc M's iron farm. So we've got, sure you've seen this before, but we've got a zombie in the middle. He scares some villagers that are on either side. And at the right time of day, they will spawn golems on top of this platform in the water. And then the water then takes them this way. Now this is a new addition that the other guys haven't seen yet, but I've added some lava blades here that will soften up the golems. So obviously, because golems are pretty meaty, they're hard to kill. But if they go through this lava, they'll come through here and they'll have much less health. But then they fall down out of the cargo bay and they land on this platform. So if you come down here, so obviously the fall damage doesn't kill them; they stand here. But there's actually an asteroid up here with a glass bottom, so just above that platform. So you can come up here.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And if you stand on the glass platform. And then we should see some Endermen spawning. And what happens is the Endermen and the golems have a fight. And eventually,
Oh my god!
eventually the golems die because the Endermen kill them. And then obviously they drops on the floor, and there's a minecart underneath that picks up all the iron and the ender pearls that we get from this, and also the roses. And then that goes into a shulker box loader, and then the shulker box gets dropped into the same water stream that we saw that came out of the Falcon underneath.
Oh right, yeah.
So all of these drops
I see it down there, yeah.
They will get routed all into the Death Star as well.
Very cool.
I'm the dude who doesn't shut up, and I have no words. This is unbelievable. This whole thing is just unbelievable, man.
Okay, so I think it's time to go inside the Death Star, right? All right, so we're inside the hangar. This is obviously the Death Star. So we've got another TIE fighter here. This is Darth Vader's TIE fighter. You see, it's got the curved wings. Now this design, this was actually a community design. This was one done by Wite Rabid, who's here as well. And so he did this design, sent it to me, and then I basically built it in here. So this is down to him. Now, one interesting thing about this, if you look at the ceiling, that is kelp blocks. Now that used to be 2,000 cauldrons. In 1.13, that's all right. But in 1.14, because I have villagers in here, it basically meant that it basically broke how they get their professions, because they tried to pathfind to the cauldrons, and because there were so many of them, it was basically unusable. So I had to swap them out. So that was a bit painful. But
and now they're just rotting in a chest somewhere.
Yep, they certainly are. So I've got to find a use for them. But now, all these armor stands, these are people from my community. So this is what I call the Hall of Fame. So how you get into this, so you can look at there's obviously lots of names in here. Some of the people that are here, or all the people that are here are in here somewhere. And obviously there's lots of other people. And you get in here basically by just being a good member of the community. So you don't have to be a patron or anything like that. But this is someone who's been supportive, leaving friendly comments, being helpful in the community, being nice in Discord, that kind of stuff. And so when I identify someone that I think is a cool person, that's just been generally a nice person, they get added to here, and they get to nominate a mob head, and then I go and get it for them, because we've got the mob head drops data pack as well. So a little bit of community focus in here.
Wow. That's awesome.
Cool. That's great. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Okay, so I guess we'll go inside. So let's go through this corridor. But if we come round, we can just go into these various rooms and see what they are. So let's start over here. So we're actually at level 6 at the moment, so obviously we're in the middle. And this first farm is my wool farm. So you'll see there's a whole bunch of sheep in there. Now again, I wanted to do something different. So this is my anti-gravity wool farm. Now there's a clock that runs, but you can also fire it yourself. So if you hit that note block behind you, that's a manual trigger of the farm. and then if you watch, you'll see some stuff happen. So all the sheep, one after the other, just get shot up using some slime blocks, and then there's a dispenser at the top with some shears in it, and there's some string and an observer, so they get sheared once they hit the top, once they hit the apex of their flight. So then they fall down being sheared, and then with their items, and then it gets collected. So this was a challenge. Obviously, there's very simple ways of doing sheep farms nowadays, but again, I wanted to do something different. And this was a challenge in terms of the redstone, because the sheep has to stand on some grass that it needs to eat to replenish its wool. So then, of course, you've got the problem of how am I going to shoot it up, because I'll need a slime block for that. How am I going to collect the items, because I need a hover minecart for that. There's a whole bunch of jiggery-pokery with redstone and stuff. You can't imagine how that might work.
Jeez.
But basically what happens here is all of the items end up in this water stream over here. So you can see there's a few items coming through now. So there's obviously hoppers underneath. They end up in here. So for all the farms, this is the same. So all the farms in this have the same concept, where there's a farm and all their items get put into water streams, and then the water stream comes back all the way back here to the center. So if we come back to the main corridor, so on all four sides, actually, if you look through, you can see the items coming up. There's an item elevator. All the items are working their way up.
Oh my god!
So what happens is, at all levels, the items fall down to the very bottom, and there's a quad item elevator that collects all the items and then shoots them all the way up to the very top of the Death Star, up to level 10, and then they're routed around the Death Star to various places, which we can talk about when we get there. So it's like a central way of managing items.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So the next room along is my main storage room. Now I've put it here on purpose, so if I need items, I can just fly in through the hangar, and the storage room is right next door, so it's nice and easy to get to. So in here, there's a few things to talk about. So over on this side, where I'm standing, this is where all of the items come from farms that are inside the Death Star. So all the items get routed to here. There's water streams above and shulker box loaders, and so you end up with shulker boxes full of items from the farms inside the Death Star. So this is currently what farms I have inside here. And on the opposite side, these are all the items I get from the overworld. So all of the shulker boxes that are in here have come from the overworld and been automatically deposited in here, because above these shulker box storage systems, I've got a shulker box sorter. So the way that works is, that's a Pella design. The way that works is, it puts down a shulker box, it takes out one item, puts that one item through a sorting system so it can identify which silo to go in, and then it puts the item back into the box and then puts the shulker box into the right silo. So I get sorted shulker boxes automatically.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool.
Jeez.
That's where all that comes from. Obviously, the front wall here is just this is just double chests where I just dump items, and also shulker boxes. That's all manually. And the back wall is probably something a bit embarrassing. So this is one of those multi-item storage systems, auto sorting, but I don't use it. So I built it up, but then in 1.13 there's a big issue with these storage systems. It really lags out the game because there's too many updates going on. So I ended up not using it, and that may well work now in this version, but I've not got around to actually stocking it yet. So that's the storage system.
That's great.
Okay, so Impulse, you are a villager man, right? You like your villagers.
I do.
Should we go and check out some villagers?
You definitely have villager trading hall somewhere at this.
So if we go, there's two. So I've got two ways to go up. So I've got Turbolifts, right? So this side is the express turbolift. This one goes straight to the top or straight to the bottom. The one on the other side allows you to go up one level at a time or down one level at a time. So yeah.
Okay.
We're on level 6. We want to go to the very top, level 10. So if we hop in here, and then hop in this bubble elevator, that will take it all the way to the very top, level 10.
This place is massive.
Yes. This is huge.
What is the name it on the wall? Did I see?
Oh yeah. Can you name it?
Skizzleman likes his name.
I do.
What is it?
I don't know what that is. I don't know what it is. I suck.
Express elevator to hell. Going down. Game over, man. Game over. Come on, you must know it.
You stumped him.
No, hold on, don't tell me. Really, don't tell me. Hold on. Just keep on with the tour, and I'm going to think.
Game over, man. Game over.
Man, game over.
He's gonna be thinking about. That's all he's gonna be thinking about for the rest of the tour now.
I know.
Okay, so
Game over, man. Game over.
You know it. You know it. Okay, so this is the villager Breda over here. So you can't see very much from here, but if we go up this bubble elevator, we'll come to the top, and we can see our villagers. So we've got two pairs of villagers next to each other. Now at the moment it's turned off, so there's a glass block in between them. So because they can't see each other, they won't breed. So this is how I turn my breeder on and off. And what happens is, if you look at the back, you see there's items flying past them. So there's a bunch of items that go past. That's not all items, that's just items that are either good for breeding or good for trading. So at the moment we've got melons going past, but behind us there's some item filters, so that will separate the things that are good for villagers and everything else. So everything else goes to the main storage system, and all the villager stuff goes past the villagers and then goes down into a storage system underneath, which we'll see for the trading hall. And anything that's excess after that then goes into the main storage. So what happens here is when these villagers breed, when the glass blocks are moved up, they breed and the baby will be spawned inside one of the parents. So they stand on that block. But babies, they want to jump on the beds, right? You know what kids are like. Yeah. So they see the beds on this side, and they would try and walk across it, and they think they can get there because of the trapdoors, but they can't, and they fall down into the water stream, and then they go into the system underneath where there's a little holding cell where they can grow up. And when they're adults, they grow up and float around into the adult holding center, ready for the trading hall.
Perfect, nice.
Now over this side, I'll show you the room in a second, but if you look here, I'll go and turn this farm on. So I've actually got a control room. There's another room in the Death Star which is a control room. So not all farms are wired up to it just yet, but I'm hoping to get them all wired up in the end. But I've got a control room that has buttons and levers for various farms. One of them is the breeder. So I'm going into the control room right now, and I'm going to flip the lever, and you should see the farm come on. There we go. Yep. So they should be doing some stuff.
Just went up. Yep.
So now they can see each other, they'll start breeding. So you might see some hearts and stuff. So let's go down, let's go down all the way down to the very bottom. So let's go down to level 0. So if we go back back into the main corridor, and we'll take the express elevator to hell all the way to the bottom.
Still working on that name at Skizz?
Game over, man. Game over. Man. I know what it is, but I'm just like, my brain just decided, no, not today.
You let me down, Skizz. I thought you'd definitely get that.
I know. I thought about looking it up, but I believe in the sanctity of the name it.
No cheating.
I was not going to get there. Look at this map.
Yeah, so there's a map here that I've done of the end. So this is all the ships so far. So there's obviously lots of space for more ships. So I've got a big list of ships that are still to come.
Oh my gosh.
But no spoilers, of course.
Cool.
So that's that. So down here, there's nothing else on this level, but there's basically stuff on every single level. So it's probably easier just to fly up, and we can sort of talk about each one. Now, obviously, it'll take a long time to go into every single one, I guess. But I'll give you some highlights. Okay. So if we go into this big black box here, if we scoot inside here, so you can use spectator just to scoot inside, and seems you like your villagers, Impulse.
There we go.
So this is so when I originally did this, I did this in 1.12, and of course that farm then broke with all the changes 1.14. So I adapted it, which is obviously you've seen the carrot farm design that I've done on my channel. Yep. So this is using that same design, but it's obviously just changed a bit for the space involved. So the villagers go and harvest all the crops at work time, and then at meat time they come over here where the bell is, and the villager in the middle. They try and throw their items to the villager in the center, and the items don't make it, and they fall through that hole into the water stream, and then goes into the main system that handles all the items.
Yep, cool.
And we've got this is for carrots. This is for potatoes. There's a carrot one on the other side.
Here. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask.
Yeah, on the other side, there's exactly the same design, but just for carrots.
New design. Cool.
Same thing. And then what else? So we've got a sugarcane farm at this level as well.
It's very aesthetic inside. I like it.
Yeah. So the idea here is that the slime blocks are on the outside, and they get pulled back when they harvest.
Instead of pushing forward. Yeah,
Instead of pushing
cool.
forward, so just a bit different. There's that.
Yeah, I think it makes it look a lot better doing it that way. Nice. Yep, found it.
Okay, so this bamboo farm works slightly differently to ones you may have seen before. So obviously bamboo grows, but how does it get collected? Oh, you can see one on the right here.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah, so obviously the bamboo grows when there's observers at the very top. So when one of the stems grows to the top, blocks come out to break all of the items. All the items then fall onto the block that broke them, and then the water stream comes out and pushes all the items away, and then it all retracts again. So it's all nice and flush and clean. Again, not super efficient. If you want an efficient farm, you wouldn't build this, but something a bit different, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
look, Impulse, like go up in the air and look at the ground. I just like the pattern. It's just so sick.
Yeah.
Jeez, mine would have just been just flat cobble. This is what I hate myself.
Also the ceiling as well. Tried to put some work into that too.
Yeah, beautiful. Jeez.
Yeah, that's a fun way to harvest for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
So this one, this is a little bit different. So we've got
Whoa.
six silos, 3 for melons, 3 for pumpkins. Now the way this works is it's slightly different. At the bottom in the center, there's a sapling that can't grow because it's got a block above it. But every time it tries to grow, there's an observer that observes it. And so we get a random trigger in. So it's like a really small random clock. And then every so often it just harvests the items. So there's pistons that are behind all of the blocks where they grow.
Yeah.
And then pushes them into the water streams and then goes into the system.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty straightforward.
And this didn't work before 1.14, right? Because there's solid blocks on top.
Yeah, so this worked. So
right?
yeah, so I built this in 1.12 when it worked, and then 1.13 it broke because you can't have a block above the stem. So I went through and I took away all the blocks above the stems, so then it worked again. And then 1.14 they fixed that bug, so I put the blocks back again.
Yeah.
So thanks. And then going around here, so we've got a wheat farm next. So this is pretty standard. This hasn't changed much since 1.12 or 13 days. Just had to put a composter in the center, and it still works.
Yeah. Yeah, I just did the same thing to Tango's. He had a wheat farm kind of like this, but stacked on Hermitcraft in the lag district, and it wasn't working obviously when we upgraded. So I just threw in a composter in the middle, and it's fine now.
And then over this side, just some cactus farm. So again, there's a lot of work still to be done here. I need to finish this room. Obviously, put a floor in and the ceiling and walls and stuff. So I've kind of been slacking on that front.
I kind of like it though, like that you can look out and just see all the craziness that's going on around here.
Yeah,
that is kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm kind of running out of space, but so that's that.
Should have built a bigger Death Star, I guess.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it.
Amazing.
So we've got these 3 silos where kelp grows, and got these slime block arms for each one.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And there's a similar behind the scenes. There's a fly machine that pushes it backwards and forwards. But there's a similar timer using a sapling. But what it does is this one lasts longer. So there's actually a counter. So every time the sapling tries to grow, it counts. And when it gets to I think it's 8 growths, when it triggers 8 times, then the fly machine goes across to give the kelp enough time to grow up to a reasonable height.
Yeah.
And that's separate for each one. So each one's independent of each other.
Cool. And then at the top, just the water flows over.
Yeah, so there's
I'm assuming.
source blocks. So all the items float to the very top, and then there's a water stream that pushes them over, and then they go into some cobwebs to take away all the momentum, and they fall down behind into a water stream, and that takes them into the main storage.
So 100 episodes, right? Yep. This is 100. So I take it you pretty much got a project done in every single episode, or 2 or 3, because you got. It feels like you got more than 100 projects here.
Yeah,
right?
I guess I'm not a very good YouTuber, because if I was a good YouTuber, I'd space all this out and have like 200 episodes by now. But just based on like my recording schedule and stuff like that, it's not easy to get 2 episodes a week out. So I get 1 episode a week, but I can spend quite a lot of time on it. So then my aim, it doesn't always work out, but my aim is to every episode have a project that gets at least relatively finished. And sometimes they're quite big and take a lot of time, but yeah, that's what I try and do.
It's amazing.
Where possible.
You've got a lot of great stuff going on here, man.
Unbelievable. It's just unbelievable.
So we can go up to the next level. So level 5.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah, there's more. So level 5, there's nothing there yet. So this is an empty floor at the moment. So nothing going on right there. And level 6 we've already seen. That's where we came in on the hangar. And then level 7 is the next one. So over here we have, yes, we've got a cobblestone generator over here. So if you come over to this glass, you can look out. Now I'll go into, so this is turned on and off by the control room. So I'll go into the control room and I'll turn this on. So this is an Ilmango design. So this produces 120,000 cobble per hour.
Oh my gosh.
And so underneath the water stream, the collection, there's some shulker box loaders that load all the cobble into shulker boxes, and then when they get filled up, they get broken, and then the shulker boxes get taken into the same water stream where the items from the Falcon come. So there's shulker boxes, and then goes into the shulker box filter in the main system.
Nice. And it looks like, yeah, if you got so much cobble coming in that some's just getting burned. Right.
Yeah, that's right. So I've got, I think I've got 8. Is it 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, I've got 8 shulker box loaders underneath, but that's not enough to keep up with all the items.
Oh my
I think you need 14 if you want to keep up with all of them.
This is insane. Impulse, you got to go spectator and come in here, dude. You got to see.
I was in there.
You see like the whirlpool?
Yeah.
That is so awesome. Oh my god.
We got to do this on our Skyblock, man.
Yes.
Yeah. So this design is actually designed for Skyblock, because this is when Mango was doing, or he still is doing a 1.14 Skyblock. So you can make this work from one lava source if you're in Skyblock.
Yep. Cool.
But that's that.
Yeah, we got to do this. I don't usually use TNT dupers, but like this is worth it.
Yeah.
This is just,
yeah, it's good.
I could just stare at this for hours. This is just so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so with this, because it's so big, I've actually connected this to 2 levels, so you got 2 viewing areas, the top and the bottom.
Oh yeah, I see. Okay. Yeah.
This is my take on a to-do list.
What?
Which, to be honest, I don't really use that much. So the idea is
some of these are like moving target to dos, man. Like you move it around.
Well, first of all, so at the very top, so you see there's 3 levels of lamps at the top that are moving. So that's just to give you the effect, because when you're in when you watch sci-fi films, in the background there's always just random lights flashing, right?
Yep.
So that's what that is, just some random lights flashing to make it look like there's some action going on. But this is supposed to be my to-do list. The way it works is there's different sections. So we've got one over here for the overworld, one for the end, one for the nether, and one for the Death Star. And this is a bit like, I don't know if you guys have done Scrum. You have like swim lanes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the idea here is that we've got
we know that very, very, very well.
Yeah. So here we've got a to-do shulker box, an in-progress shulker box, and a done shulker box. And inside each one there are books, and each book is a separate project. So the idea is that I can write down all the projects I want to do in a book. So I name the book what the particular project is, just for easy identification. But then inside the book you can write all sorts of notes, like coordinate locations and ideas, all this kind of stuff. And then you move them between the different shulker boxes when you're in progress or when you're done. And then the idea is next to it we have these lamps that are basically a progress bar. So at the beginning, all of the lamps along the top in the to-do list are all lit. But then as I do more and more projects, they move down to the done and moves across. So you get an idea of progress.
Well, I'll tell you, in between in progress and done, I'm going to need a resolve state so we can check your code. Hop over to done. This is awesome.
Oh man, yeah. So I keep a board in Trello. It's a website that you can use to do the same kind of thing. I've never thought to put it in Minecraft like this. This is so cool.
Yeah. So the reality is I started using it, but just from practicality, I actually use Trello as well for my actual management.
Okay.
But,
Jeez.
It's cool, man.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of an interesting idea, but not really used. And then if we go up one more level, so come up here, this is level 9. Now over here, this is where the trading hall is.
All right.
So
it's going to be the one that you showed recently.
Yeah, so I've got a tutorial for this on my channel.
Okay.
Now what I've done here is, I had big problems with lag. So I've done a bit of work to try and reduce lag, and the biggest lag causer was the villagers. So previously to this, I had a different design for a trading hall, and I had loads and loads and loads of villagers in it, and it was just lagging out the game. So I've gone through and I had to cull a whole bunch of villagers, and obviously come up with this new design. So I had to rip out the old trading hall that was here and replaced it with this version. Now what I'm trying to do here is just trying to really reduce how many villagers I need, rather than having like 50 villagers, just because of the lag. So with this, what I'm trying to do here is trying to get the perfect set of villagers. So what I'm trying to do here is get each villager to have no duplication of books. So you see above some of them, they've got green blocks. That means they're the ones I'm going to keep. And the ones with white blocks are the ones that may be for the chop, either because their trades aren't very interesting or because there's a duplicate. And because underneath, I don't know if you can see, but there's actually a zombie underneath.
Yep, I saw him.
He's dressed up as a stormtrooper. But
TK421.
Yep. So what I can do is, for those who haven't seen it, I can flip a lever that will drop the villager down. The zombie will attack him and turn him into a zombie villager, and then I can cure him, and that gives me discounts. And so, of course, over time, that will degrade. And so every now and again, you can do that just to keep your trades as low as possible. So I can basically trade all my books for 1 emerald at all times for any book I want. And so for that, I don't really care about, when I get the trades, I don't care about what level, like if I get efficiency 1 or 2 or 3, I don't really care, because I could just buy loads of them. It's not an issue. So that's why I'm not so interested in the level. I mean, obviously if I get a high level, that's cool, but it's not like the driver of it.
I see. Yeah.
And then we've got some farmers over here just to trade all of the normal goods to get the emeralds to trade with the other guys to get the books.
Did you get any of the ones that will let you trade a whole bunch? I had that kind of glitch happen with the updates where I got a few farmers that I can just trade like a whole chest full of carrots before they lock up. Did you get lucky with that at all?
I don't think I have. I think they all do lock up eventually, unfortunately. But they do trade for a long time. I think that's a bug in 1.14 still. There's
yeah, exactly.
There is some stuff there, but yeah. So with the way this trader hall, so obviously just above here is the Breda, where all the adults end up once they've grown up. Now, if you come into this booth right here, it opens. There you go. So there's a couple of buttons here, so you can call the next villager. So if you press the button over there on the right, that will get a villager in a minecart, and he'll plop down here. And this is where you can do the cycling of their profession. So in the chest over there, we've got all the different workstations, and then you can place it in front of the villager, and then keep cycling it until you get the profession you want, and you press the other button, and then he'll go into the system wherever there's a space. Now you've got to have this booth around it because you don't want them pathfinding to another block, because if they pathfind to another workstation, that will ruin your day. So yeah, got them inside here.
Cool. Yeah, I saw Mumbo actually use this on Hermitcraft, right?
Yeah, he's built the same design. He's got many more villages than I've got, but yeah, he uses the same design. Actually, I think he actually made a mistake. Maybe you can tell him. He's put solid blocks next to the villagers. Now they should have slabs so they can see each other and they can gossip. So whenever you trade with villagers, they share the gossip. So you can spread the good news through curing and trading, and that also helps keep all the villagers trades down. Also slabs underneath.
So by that same logic, if I'm not going to do it, but if I were to smack this guy, he would tell all his buddies.
Yeah, if you slap this guy, then that'd be bad news.
All right.
Kicked off the tour.
I know. I'm not going to do it. Oh, man.
Oh. Cool, man.
All right. So that's that. And then obviously over here on this side, here's all the chests. So this is where all the items come from the rest of the system. So, so the items get routed through different... So there's a whole bunch of waterways all over the Death Star. It's all very complicated to look at, but the items all end up here. And once this gets filled up, then they just end up going to the main storage. And then just over this side, this is where the control room is. So not all of this is...
this is... You need to put a sign that says green's not allowed in here, because you know how he gets, right?
Yeah, for sure.
No green's allowed in the control room.
So not everything's wired up yet, but in the fullness of time, all the farms and contraptions in here will be wired up. So you can turn on and off all the farms, because one of the issues I've got at the moment is a bit of lag through the number of items, because I've got so many farms all running and there's so many items coming out that ends up lagging the game because of items. So what I want to do is turn off the farms that I don't need items for. So I can just come in here and turn off the ones I don't need, and once I run out of an item, turn it back on again, so I can manage it all from one place.
That'll be cool. Yeah, it's gonna be exciting to see that get built out.
Yeah. So yeah, more work in progress.
So would you say that you have another 100 episodes in you?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. See, here I was waiting for like the end of the tour, you to just say, okay, this has been great in this world, but we're done with it. We're starting a new one.
No.
No, that's not the case.
No, this is going to run as long as possible. So if we...
There's nothing about this that's easy. This is just absurd.
Well, dude,
So
congratulations on 100 episodes, man.
Thanks,
man.
This obviously was quite the journey. And
Yep.
I feel like I wish I had time. I would go grind through, binge watch all 100 right now to see this come about, man. It's inspiring.
But if you want to hop in and come to the main hangar, so that's probably the biggest box you can see, about halfway down. We need to do before we wrap up. We need to do one last thing. So if you just hang in the hangar for me for a second, I need to go and get something.
Okay. This is just incredible. I'm just, how's it a thing?
Okay, all right. I'm here. So is everyone here?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so I think it's time to wrap up the episode. So I've got a little job to do before we do that, but before I do my little job, I've got something in my hand. You can probably see.
Oh my gosh.
No way.
Yeah, man. So first of all, thanks to everyone for coming along to my episode 100 for the tour. It's super cool to show you all around what I've been up to, and obviously have you guys over here. So thanks very much for that. I really appreciate that. So I guess we need to finish up, right? Now on this world, I have player head drops. So if anyone was to die, then their heads drop. So I was kind of wondering if I could have some souvenirs,
Let me go into survival, buddy.
I'm in survival.
Awesome.
So if everyone could hop into survival, so who's going first?
Okay.
Rozsy?
Rozsy's going
Buddy.
first. That's fine.
Sorry, buddy, but
Easy on you.
needs to be done. I need to. Oh, the lag. There we go. Okay.
That was an honour.
Here, give me a warrior's death. I'm going to kneel in front of you.
Okay, there we go. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
What's that?
Oh, you got armor on. That's why.
Oh, yeah.
Let me take it out.
Yeah.
There we go. Sorry.
That looks like painful death there, man.
There you go.
There you go.
Oh, I need to get there. Okay.
Oh,
Skizleman's head. All right. I've got a full
I
inventory.
wish my inventory was filled with redstone right now.
I need to empty my inventory. One
Redstone
second.
dust.
totally.
Let me just empty my inventory really quick. Who's next? Oscar. Sorry, buddy. Thanks for coming.
No.
Okay, got Oscar's head as well.
Man.
That's good. Right. Wite, you're next, buddy. Thanks for coming. See you later. May the force be with you.
The anticipation of dying is just a little awkward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Zed, I love you, but I'm afraid you have to go.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
Bye, Growler.
Oh, so many hits.
Man.
There we go. I've got his head. Oh, where's Akoi?
Curse your
Sorry.
sudden but inevitable
There he is.
betrayal.
There he is. I knew it. Hiding away.
He thought he could get away.
No, there's no escape. There is no escape. So this actually, so Akoi there, the guy I just killed. He's a wizard with the data packs, and he made this lightsaber for me.
Oh, okay. That
So,
thing is awesome.
Yeah. So Impulse, buddy, thank you for coming. I really appreciate it, but I'm going to have to take your
You
head.
bet. All right, go for it. You can have it. Oh, jeez.
See you later.
It hurts a little bit, but I'll be all right.
Oh, brilliant. Oh. Well, thanks, guys. May the force be with you.
Yes. Thank
You
you.
bet,
What a
man.
great
Thanks.
tour. Absolute brilliance. Thank you so much for sharing that.
No
Yeah,
problem. No
It was
problem.
a lot of fun, man.
And there we have it. That is the end of the world tour, end of episode 100. So I hope you enjoyed it, and you can see behind me that we've got the souvenirs that we collected at the end of the episode. So yeah, a big thank you again to all those guys that came out to visit us and see the world. Of course, especially to our VIPs, Impulse and Skizz. That was really good to have you guys over. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the episode, and there's going to be a world download in the description. So if you want to tour the world for yourself, then get down to the description, download it, and yeah, have a go. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the episode, and if you did, hit that like button. And if you're new, then feel free to subscribe, and if you've got any comments, suggestions, anything like that, then get it in the comment section. Alright my geeks, until next time, I will see you later.